musicians?
Okay, my name is Ann Clark. Last year I was music director. This year I produced two of the shows, our new music show and a show which features band interviews.
How many hours a day is the station broadcasting?
The station is on from 4 in the afternoon till 1 in the morning because we have to share our frequency with Farley Dickinson University. They are on from 1 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and they get the weekends. So we're only broadcast Monday through Friday.
What sort of programming does the station have now?
We've got block programming, so we have various types of shows. As I mentioned, there's a new music show, which is on from 4 to 7:30 every day. We have a dance music show, which is on for 2 hours every day. And then we also have a reggae show, a funk show, a blues show, industrial noise, industrial music show, a hardcore heavy metal show. Public affairs programming, that sort of thing. We have a lot of different programming.
Do you get any feedback? Like, what do you think is the most popular of all the shows? Is there like one that's outstanding?
The show that's been around for a long time and gets a lot of feedback is the new afternoon show. It's on from 4 to 7:30. It's our new music show. We get a lot of calls with it. We work with clubs a lot. It's really the only place in New York that you can hear that sort of thing. Well, WLIR came around a couple of years ago, and they play some of the same stuff as us, but we're sort of ahead of them on that score.
So it's really an alternative music station?
Yeah, it's an alternative music station. We're a lot more alternative than WLIR. In some cases, we're playing things way before they are. In other cases, we're playing bands they wouldn't touch with the 10-foot pole.
So is there any direct competition around, like excluding just Manhattan? Like, was it WFMU?
There are some other stations, but I think we have a lot more listeners. Our signal is stronger, and some of them don't play new music, or there's just not as much of an awareness of them. We're more, by now, sort of an institution. People that like this sort of music are aware of us and have been listening to us for quite a few years.
So you're saying how you do interviews of bands. Is this like an outlet? Is this like the station that most bands would want to be on?
Yeah, we have no problem getting interviews. We have good relations with the major record companies and with independents. Just about every alternative band that comes to town, we can get up on the show with no problem. And whereas they might not have time for some of the smaller ones, they'll make sure they have time for us.
Yeah. I'm unfamiliar with the New York music scene, so who would you say, like, of the local bands, you know, all types, the whole range from rock to hardcore and different bands like that, but who are the best of the up-and-coming bands?
Of the up-and-coming bands, I don't know a lot about the hardcore scene. The only bands I'm that familiar with are ones that have been around for a while, such as the Misfits. And now there's Samhain, which is an offshoot of the Misfits. There's a band that I haven't seen yet, but I've heard is quite good, called the Clintons, that have sort of been picking up steam over the summer, sort of rock and roll, but still in an alternative sense, but they're still very basic sort of rock and roll. There's Conch and Liquid Liquid, who've been around for a while, both bands really into syncopation and Latin rhythms, and Liquid Liquid wrote the song Cavern, which was used in White Lines, the Grandmaster Flash song, so everyone would be familiar with them through that. There's also a local band that plays country music called The Last Roundup. They're not the sort of country music that you think of nowadays with like Dolly Parton, more Hank Williams sort of thing, and they were recording in Nashville over the summer. There's also a band, the Raunch Hands, who just had a single come out. On the more experimental front, the two bands I think of are Sonic Youth and the Swans. Sonic Youth do have a couple records. I think the Swans have a release out. Sonic Youth have two. One of them was released last spring on the German label Zinzor. Those are the most important. There's also Certain Generals and Band of Outsiders who did a record together last spring called Far Away in America.
Yeah. It's non-commercial, right?
Yeah, this is a non-commercial radio station.
But you do underwriting for...
Right. A lot of our shows survive by underwriting. For example, the New Afternoon Show has an underwriting agreement with 99 Records because though we get service by the major labels and by a lot of American labels, and we do get some service from import labels, it's very hard to get service from import labels because it's so expensive for them to ship things. So every week I go to 99 and I pick up 4 or 5 import records that we just couldn't get otherwise because the station doesn't have money to be doing that. And in exchange for that, we run a few announcements during the show saying some of the music heard on the new afternoon show is provided by 99 Records. And most of the other shows do have some sort of underwriting agreement because a lot of times we don't get service the records that they need.
And you have a lot of ticket giveaways, it seems, and record giveaways.
Yeah, our promotions department has always done pretty well. Jim Cardillo, who's music director and working promotions, has done a lot with that. This week we're working with General Public. They're giving away 1,000 albums. They're doing this only with 2 stations in the country, us and WLIR.
And they pick the stations.
And they pick the stations, their record company. I forget which one they're on. We're always, every week we give away tickets to see bands at various clubs. Then often in conjunction with the record company or the band, we'll give away albums or we'll give away T-shirts. We gave away yesterday some Spear of Destiny T-shirts. Last week we gave away X-Mal Deutschland records. So when bands come up, we usually work something out of that sort.
So you think that it's good that this station exists then as an alternative in New York?
Yeah, I think I'm from Boston, and Boston is just teeming with really great college radio stations. WZBC is fantastic now. When I was younger, WMBR was like the best one. Emerson's always had a good one, Harvard. In New York, there's not as much of a sense of community. The college stations in Boston are very aware of each other. In New York, it's a lot more disjointed. And I'm just glad that there's something here, some place where people can tune in and hear this stuff, because LIR is only exposing them to a very limited sort of music, things that are probably soon going to come out domestically, bands like the Style Council. They're not going to hear Husker Du on WLIR, but they can hear it here.
Where else could they hear Husker Du? Any other stations play them?
I'm not really sure what the playlists are for the other college stations. So a lot of the other stations
wouldn't play them.
Commercial stations wouldn't go near Husker Du.
Yeah.
But other college stations, I'm not really sure what they're playing.
So have you any idea what the listenership is for here?
I think the estimates for us are 80 to 100,000.